Hi everybody! Right, today's story is a little bit close to my heart because it's called The Wonderful Musician. Now, I'm a musician. Not sure I'm wonderful, but I'm a musician and I love music, and I think everybody who loves music should be a musician and play instruments. So let's see what it says in this book about being a musician. And don't forget, at the end of this video, there will be a shout out to two very special people. Okay, here we go. The Wonderful Musician by the Brothers Grimm. There was once a wonderful musician who went quite alone through a forest and thought of all manner of things. And when nothing was left for him to think about, he said to himself, time is beginning to pass heavily with me here in the forest. I will fetch a good companion for myself. He's looking for a friend. Then he took his fiddle from his back and he played it so that it echoed through the trees. Another name for a fiddle is a violin, similar to a violin anyway. And you play it like this. I don't know if you've seen that. Anyway, back to the story. It was not long before a wolf came trotting through the thicket towards him. Ah, here is a wolf coming. I have no desire for him, said the musician. But the wolf came nearer and nearer and said to him, Oh, dear musician, how beautifully you play. I should like to learn that too. Oh, it's soon learned, the musician replied. Only you have to do all that I bid you to. Oh, musician, said the wolf, I will obey you as a scholar obeys his master. The musician had him follow, and when they had gone part of the way together, they came to an old oak tree, which was hollowed inside and cleft in the middle. Look, said the musician, if you will learn to fiddle, put your forepaws into this crevice. The wolf obeyed, but the musician quickly picked up a stone and with one blow wedged his two paws so fast that it was forced to stay there like a prisoner. Stay there until I come back again, said the musician, and he went away. Whoop. So he's left the wolf in the tree. After a while, he again said to himself, Oh, time is beginning to pass heavily with me here in the forest. I will fetch another companion. And took his fiddle and again played in the forest. It was not long before a fox came creeping through the trees towards him. Ah, there's a fox coming, said the musician. Oh, I have no desire for him. So the fox came up to him and said, Oh, Mr. Dear musician, how wonderfully you do play. I should like to learn that too. Oh, it's soon learned, said the musician. You only have to do everything that I bid you to. Oh, musician, said the fox, I will obey you as a scholar obeys his master. A scholar obeys his master means a child listens to the teacher. Follow me, said the musician, and when they had walked part of the way, they came to a footpath with high bushes on both sides of it. There the musician stood still, and from one side bent a young hazel bush down to the ground and put his foot on top of it. Then he bent down a young tree from the other side as well and said, Now, little fox, if you will learn something, give me your left paw. So the fox obeyed, and the musician fastened his paw to the left bough. Little fox, he said, now reach me your right paw. And then he tied it to the right bough. So he's tied both of the fox's legs to the trees and the bush. When he had examined whether they were firm enough, he let go, and the bushes sprang up again, jerked up the little fox, and he was hung, struggling in the air. Wait here till I come back again, said the musician, and he went away. So let me get this right now. The musician's got a wolf trapped, and he's now got a fox trapped. Again, he said to himself, time is beginning to pass heavily with me in the forest. I will fetch another companion. So he took his fiddle, and the sound echoed through the forest. Then a little hare came springing towards him. Why, a hare is coming, said the musician. I do not want him. Oh, dear musician, said the hare, how beautifully you do fiddle. I too should like to learn that. Oh, it's soon learned, said the musician, but you only have to do everything I bid you to do. Oh, musician, replied the little hare, I will obey you like a scholar obeys his master. They went a part of the way together until they came to an open space in the forest. There stood an aspen tree. The musician tied a long string around the little hare's neck, and the other end of which he fastened to the tree. A bit like a dog on a collar, I think. Now, briskly, little hare, run 20 times around the tree, cried the musician. And the little hare obeyed, and when it had run around 20 times, it had twisted the string 20 times around the trunk of the tree, and the little hare was caught. And let it pull and tug as it like, it only made the string cut into its little neck. Wait here till I come back, said the musician, and went onwards. Are we liking this musician very much at the moment? I'm not sure. The wolf, in the meantime, had pushed and pulled and bitten at the stone, and had worked so long that he had set his feet free and had drawn them once more out of the cleft. Full of anger and rage, he hurried after the musician and wanted to tear him to pieces. When the fox saw him running, he began to lament and cried with all his might, Brother Wolf, come and help! The musician has betrayed me. The wolf drew down the little tree, bit the cord in two, and freed the fox, who went with him to take revenge on that musician. They found the tied up hare, whom, likewise, they released, and they all went looking for the musician and sought their enemy together. The musician had once more played his fiddle as he went on his way, and this time he had been more fortunate. The sound reached the ears of a woodcutter, who instantly, without a thought, gave up his work and came with his hatchet under his arm to listen to the music. At last comes the right companion, said the musician, for I was seeking a human being to play with, not a wild beast. And he began and played so beautifully and delightfully that the poor man stood there as if bewitched, and his heart leaped with gladness. And as he thus stood, the wolf, the fox, and the hare came up, and he saw well that they had some evil design. So the musician saw that the fox, the wolf, and the hare were not very happy. So the musician raised his arm, and the woodcutter raised his glittering axe and placed himself in front of the musician, as if to say, Whoever wishes to touch him, let him beware, for he will have to deal with me. Then the beasts were terrified and ran back into the forest. The musician, however, played once more to the man out of gratitude, and then went onwards. Well, that's a strange story. I'm not sure about that story. It's a bit strange. It was a bit cruel to those animals who wanted to learn to play, I think. I don't know what you think about that. But if somebody wanted to play a musical instrument and wanted to come and play a musical instrument with me, I certainly wouldn't tie them to a tree and leave them dangling and be cruel and put them on a collar around a tree trunk. I think music's for everybody, not just for woodcutters and human beings. I think animals like them. Anyway, less of that from me. Today's shout out is to Ronnie and Ada. Now, your mummy and daddy, Lewis and Emma, know that I'm going to be shouting out to you, and they're sending you big hugs and hoping that you're going to have a lovely, lovely day. And if it's bedtime when you're watching this, have a nice sleep. But Thank you for watching my channel and see you soon. Bye.